guys, welcome back to Analyzing Horror. My name's Lauren, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite comfort horror movies ever, Crimson Peak. So set in the late 1800s, a young Edith loses her mother to illness. However, later that very night, her mother's ghost visits her with a warning. When the time comes, beware of Crimson Peak. 14 years later, and a young and aspiring author, Edith meets a mysterious and handsome stranger, Thomas Sharp, and they immediately become enamored with each other. After a family tragedy, Edith is swept off by Thomas and his sister Lucille to their isolated mansion that breathes, bleeds, and is home to some horrible secrets. So I absolutely adore this movie, like you could probably guess. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's my go-to comfort horror movie, and it honestly has a special place in my heart. I love it so much. I love the performances, I love the director, I love the set and costume design, I love the score, I love the storyline and the combination of a ghost story with a gothic romance story. I just adore it. So fair warning, I'm going to be talking about the storyline and some spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, make sure to pause, go watch the movie, and come back afterwards. Alright, so let's get into my thoughts on Crimson Peak. I'd first like to talk about performances and some of my favorite characters. First off, I loved Mia Wasikowska as Edith. I really loved the different layers of her character, and I just think she portrayed Edith really well. I really loved how ambitious she was as an aspiring author, and I just really loved how she was also hard-headed at times, but super sweet in other times. And I also just really loved her determination to uncover the truth and survive the situation that she inevitably finds herself later in the movie. And I just thought she was really tenacious, and I just really admired her character. Not only her tenacity, but I really loved her survival instincts and her just will to live. And I just really appreciate that about her character, and it makes me root for her the entire time I'm watching this movie. I also really loved Tom Hiddleston as Thomas. I thought he really did a great job of displaying the complexity of his character, and I also really loved the inner moral turmoil that his character goes through throughout this movie. I also thought he and Mia had some great chemistry, and it further invested me within the gothic romance aspect of this story, and I just thought they were really cute despite everything else going on around them, and I just really enjoyed their characters together. And oh my god, Jessica Chastain as Lucille. Holy hell, was she incredible. I think hers was my favorite performance of this entire movie. She did such a great job being a baddie. I was absolutely terrified of her. Lucille is both cold and menacing at the same time. You don't really know what you're gonna get with this character in any scene, and I just find her genuinely frightening. She was just phenomenal, and I absolutely loved her. I also had some honorable mention performances. There are some really great actors in this movie, and I just had to mention a couple of them. I really loved Charlie Hunnam as Alan. I just really loved how much he cared for Edith and everything he did in the third act for her, and he was just a really likable character, and I loved every scene that he was in. I also really loved Jim Beaver as Edith's father. I really loved the father-daughter dynamic between the two of them, and I just thought that was really sweet. And I also loved how protective he was of her, and I just really liked him as a character. He did a really great job as well. I also love Bern Gorman as the investigator. I'm honestly a huge fan of Bern. I think that he's an underrated actor, and I just really love him. Actually, funny story, I was actually introduced to him through It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And then I also saw him alongside Charlie Day again in Pacific Rim. And then he's also been in Game of Thrones as well as in this, of course. And I don't know, I just think that he's a really great actor. I think that he not only has unique facial features, but he delivers lines in a really unique way. And I'm a big fan of his, and I always love whenever he's in something. I also had to mention how much I love and respect the talent that goes behind the ghosts, Doug Jones and Javier Botet. I just think that they're incredibly talented. I'm especially a huge fan of Doug Jones, but I think they both are incredible. They've been creatures in so many horror movies that I've seen over the years that I just have so much respect for them. And each time I look up on IMDb and notice that they're one of the creatures or something in the movie, I'm not surprised that I love the movie, because they're just so talented, and their performances are always just so incredible. I honestly could gush about them all day. I think that they're just so talented, and they're part of what make the ghosts so amazing in this movie. Alright, so let's talk about the storyline and some of my favorite scenes. To start off, I really love the opening scenes. It's one of my favorite opening scenes in a horror movie, if I'm being honest with you. I just really love how it immediately drops you into the situation and it quickly establishes that Edith can see ghosts. I just really love how you get that right up front in the opening scene. I also really love the Beware Crimson Peak warning early on in the movie. I really love that it gives you that foreboding feeling right off the bat, and then you're just anticipating for the inciting incident ever since that opening scene. And I just really, really love that, and it gives it that really haunting tone, like right there at the beginning of the movie, and I just really love that. I also really love the look of the mother's ghost. Like, I love the look of all the ghosts, but she's the first one we see, and I just had to throw that in there. I also loved all the scenes with adult Edith. Like I said earlier, I really love how you get to see how ambitious she is as an aspiring author. And I also like that we get a bunch of scenes with her and her father. And again, that father-daughter relationship is really sweet. And I really love how we got a couple of scenes with them. And I also really love the contrast between the budding romance between Edith and Thomas and the ominous conversations between Thomas and Lucille. Like, honestly, those two so clearly were up to no good. Like, I'm surprised that only Edith's father picked up on that. Speaking of which, that sink scene, oh my god, that sink scene is so hard for me to watch. I've seen this movie so many times and I still struggle to watch that scene. Not only just because of the violence, but because you feel so bad for the father. And not only him, but poor Edith. Like, she lost her mother early on in the movie and now him, and she's basically left alone. And like I said, I loved the father-daughter dynamic between the two of them, so I just felt for both of the characters in that scene. And also, that is a brutal way to go. Like that, it hurts to watch. It truly hurts to watch. Speaking of which, that sink scene actually makes me think of the bottle scene in Pan's Labyrinth. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't seen the movie, you should totally check it out. That's also another really brutal facial trauma scene and another really great Guillermo del Toro movie. So I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. Since we're on the subject, I have to gush real quick about how much I love Guillermo del Toro. I think he is an incredibly talented creator and he's one of my favorite directors. I just love how in each movie I've seen of his, each one is so visually stunning and immersive. And I just really love how he's able to captivate the audience from beginning to end in all of his movies. And I would instantly watch anything with his name on it. I love him so much. I also really love the look of Sharp Manor. Like, the set designs in this movie are absolutely stunning. Like, I love the look of Sharp Manor. All of the set designs are gorgeous, by the way, but like Sharp Manor is just top tier for me. Not only the colors on the wall or the portraits, but also just the decor and things lying around. Like, everything was just so aesthetically pleasing and it was just so beautiful. I also love the extravagant architecture and it's just so beautiful. I love that house so much. It's one of those locations in a horror movie that doesn't physically exist, but I wish so bad existed. Like, if it ever did get created and I could visit it in real life, like, you would have to drag me out of there. There's no way I would leave. It's like, no, I live here now. I also loved all the ghosts that we get to see at Sharp Manor. I think one of my favorite scenes with the ghosts is when Edith is taking a bath and a ghost is slowly creeping up behind her as she's drying off. Not only is that just like a creepy scene in general, but I really love the look of the ghost, and the ghost makes some noises too that are really creepy, and I just really loved that. And I love the look of the ghosts in these movies, but especially the ones at Sharp Manor. I like how they're red compared to the mother's ghost that's black, because they were brutally slain compared to the mother, and I just really love that difference. And the contrast of color to the overall decor of the Sharp Manor, I just thought that was really well done. It was just very visually stunning. Another ghost scene in Sharp Manor that I really love is when Edith is exploring in a hallway by candlelight and she's about to open up a hallway door and you can see a ghost's face in the crack of the door. Not only do I just really love that scene, but that's honestly, I think, my favorite shot in this entire movie, because I really love how you can get to see the ghost's face full on in the shot, but you also get some really beautiful colors in that shot. And I just loved how there's like blue on Edith's side, and then obviously the ghost is red, and then it looks like Edith's hair is slightly enhanced to have that golden hue, and then she's wearing like a long nightgown, and it's in the dark. She's also holding candles, so you get that little bit of ambiance, and I just think that scene is really beautiful. And again, that shot's my favorite shot because of all of those colors, as well as getting to see the ghost full frontal. I also really love when Edith goes full investigation mode, like she finds those voice recordings and she discovers what the Sharp siblings have been doing and then have been doing to her. And then that entire third act is absolutely insane. Like that reveal between Lucille and Thomas, everything that goes down with Alan, and then that confrontation between Thomas and Lucille, and then that inevitable fight to the death between Lucille and Edith. Oh my God. I love the third act for so many reasons, but one of the major ones is that we get to see Lucille fully unmasked and fully unhinged in this third act. It's absolutely terrifying. Like, the woman's terrifying in the entire movie, but at this point in the movie, she has nothing to lose, so she is just bonkers terrifying. I also really love how Edith holds her own in the battle. I thought it was really cool to see her survival instincts once again and just her will to survive. And I can only imagine how terrified she must be in that scene, but I just really love how she kept fighting, and I really, really appreciated that. And again, like, I was rooting for her this entire movie, and especially in this scene, it was just like, go Edith, go! And then I really love that silver lining ending. I like how we get to know that both Edith and Alan survive, and the Sharp mansion is fully at peace. And I just thought the story was wrapped up really well, and I liked how you also get that scene, like at the very, very beginning of the movie, you get this scene where Edith is in a white gown and she's holding up a hand covered in blood. And then you get that scene again right after the battle. So you get those two scenes kind of connecting. And I just really loved that aspect about it. And I found the ending to be very satisfying, especially because I was so invested in Edith as a character. So it was really nice to get that ending. And I think that's one of the reasons why this is one of my favorite comfort horror movies, because it does have that kind of happy ending, the silver linings there. Not everyone makes it, but at least some of the characters that you really care about do, and I just really love that aspect of it. I also wanted to lastly touch on a couple of aspects of the movie that I really, really loved. Like, I know I mentioned the set design earlier, but I can't go without talking about the costume design as well. Like, there were some absolutely incredible dresses and hats in this movie. I felt like it really transports you back to the late 1800s, and it just was very, very immersive and just so beautiful. Like, all the different colors too, it's just so beautiful. Like, look at some of these dresses and hats. Like, just look at them. They are so beautiful. Like, the attention to detail, it's incredible. I absolutely love the costume design. Like, the set design, costume design alone, like, make this movie so beautiful for me. In addition, I also really loved the use of lighting and all of the vivid colors. For example, I really loved how almost all of the lighting in this movie look as if it's by candlelight, which again transports you back to the late 1800s, and it's just very immersive, and I just really love that attention to detail. And with the vivid colors, I don't just mean the set design or the costume design. There's also a lot of use of color tones in this movie. I feel like every single shot, every single scene has at least 2 to 3 colors going on. It's just so beautiful. I felt like every single color and every single shot of this movie popped. And I just thought it was so beautiful. I mean, what with the set design, the costume design, the lighting, all the use of the colors, it felt like I was watching a work of art more than anything. Like, this movie is so gorgeous. That alone is why I love this movie, but the storyline and the performances and the score as well. The score has some gorgeous melodies. Like, all of that wrapped up makes this movie so beautiful, and again, a work of art, and I love this movie so much. All right, so those are my thoughts on Crimson Peak. Like I said, it's my favorite comfort horror movie, and I would argue just one of my favorite movies of all time. Like I've said earlier, it's just a work of art, and I love it so much. I love everything about it, and it holds a special place in my heart. I love it so much. So what did you think about it? Do you have a favorite character or a favorite scene? Also, what's one of your go-to comfort horror movies? Let me know in the comments. Also, I wanted to lastly mention that all of the links to my other socials are in the description box below. So if you're interested in following me on those other platforms, make sure to check those out. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe so Black Phillip knows you like to live deliciously. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you again very soon in the next video. Bye!